one player, 12 yards from goal, a goalkeeper standing between them and history, and 80,000 people in the stadium, plus hundreds of millions watching around the world, all holding their breath at exactly the same moment.
This is the penalty shootout, the most brutal way to lose a World Cup. After 90 minutes, after extra time, everything comes down to a few kicks from 12 yards. A nation's dream can disappear in seconds.
If you're new to football, penalty shootouts can be the most confusing and the most nerve-wracking part of the World Cup. In this video, you'll learn exactly how they work, where they came from, and why even the greatest players sometimes miss. We'll explore the rules, the history, the greatest World Cup shootouts ever, and the psychology behind football's most intense moment. Let's get into it. Penalty shootouts only happen in the knockout stage of the World Cup. That means the round of 32, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final. During the group stage, if a match ends level after 90 minutes, it simply finishes as a draw. Every knockout match starts with the standard 90 minutes of football. If one team is ahead when full time ends, they advance. But if the score is tied, the match isn't over yet. The game then moves into extra time, 30 more minutes, split into two 15-minute halves with a short break in between. Unlike the old golden goal rule, both halves are always played in full. If the score is still level after 120 minutes, there is only one way left to decide the winner. The match goes to a penalty shootout. A simple coin toss decides which team kicks first. It lasts only a few seconds, but it determines who faces the pressure first in football's ultimate test.
Each team then selects 5 penalty takers. But there's one important rule. Every player must already be on the pitch when extra time ends. You can't bring on a fresh specialist just for the shootout.
Every outfield player is eligible to take a penalty. And yes, even the goalkeeper can step up if the manager is bold enough to trust them. Once the 5 takers are chosen, there is nowhere left to hide. Every kick could decide whether a nation celebrates or goes home heartbroken. Teams alternate penalties. Team A, then Team B, then Team A again, and so on. This is known as the ABAB system. Every kick must be taken by a different player, so no one can shoot twice until all 5 selected players have taken their turn. Every penalty must be taken by a different player. No one gets a second attempt until all 5 original penalty takers have already stepped up. Here's what surprises many new fans. The shootout doesn't always last all 5 rounds. It ends as soon as one team has an unbeatable lead, even if the other team still has kicks remaining. A perfect example came in the 2006 World Cup final. Fabio Grosso scored Italy's 5th penalty to make it 5-3. The shootout ended immediately because France could no longer catch up, even though they still had one kick remaining. If the score is still tied after both teams have taken their first 5 penalties, the shootout enters sudden death. From that moment on, each team takes one kick per round. Now, every round becomes all or nothing. If one team scores and the other misses, the shootout ends immediately. There are no second chances. Reaching sudden death is incredibly rare. In the entire history of the men's FIFA World Cup, only 2 matches have ever gone beyond the first 5 penalties. Those unforgettable matches were West Germany versus France in 1982 and Sweden versus Romania in 1994. Both remained tied after 5 penalties and were finally decided 5-4 in sudden death. Every penalty is taken from the penalty spot, 12 yards, or about 11 meters, from goal. At that moment, it's just one player and one goalkeeper. The goalkeeper must remain on the goal line with at least part of one foot touching or in line with it until the ball is kicked. They can move side to side, wave their arms, and try to distract the shooter, but they cannot step forward early. If the goalkeeper steps off the line too early and then saves the penalty, the referee can order the kick to be taken again. It doesn't happen often, but when a retake is awarded, the stadium erupts. Players protest, supporters roar, and the pressure becomes even greater for everyone involved. Penalty shootouts feel like they've always been part of football, but they haven't. For the first 4 decades of the World Cup, if a knockout match ended level, the teams simply played the entire match again a few days later. Sometimes they even needed another replay. As the tournament grew, replaying entire matches became impossible. FIFA briefly experimented with something almost unbelievable: settling tied knockout games by drawing lots. In other words, a coin flip could end a nation's World Cup dream. In 1970, the penalty shootout was proposed to football's lawmakers. FIFA officially adopted it before the 1978 World Cup. Ironically, that tournament never needed one, because every knockout match was decided before penalties. The first World Cup penalty shootout finally arrived in 1982 when West Germany faced France in an unforgettable semifinal. After a thrilling 3-3 draw, West Germany won 5-4 on penalties. From that moment on, penalty shootouts became an unforgettable part of World Cup history. Before the penalty shootout even began, this match in Seville had already become one of the most chaotic World Cup games ever played. Drama, controversy, and unforgettable moments filled every minute. The match included one of the most infamous incidents in World Cup history. A brutal collision involving the West German goalkeeper left a French player unconscious, yet no foul was given. The controversy still sparks debate decades later. After 90 exhausting minutes and another 30 minutes of extra time, the scoreboard still read 3-3. The World Cup was about to witness something it had never seen before: its very first penalty shootout. West Germany eventually won the shootout 5-4 after sudden death, making history in the very first World Cup penalty shootout ever. From that unforgettable night, penalties became part of football's greatest tournament forever. At the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, Brazil and Italy battled through 90 minutes and another 30 minutes of extra time without a single goal. Even today, it remains the only goalless FIFA World Cup final in history. For the first time ever, the FIFA World Cup final would be decided by a penalty shootout. Every kick carried the weight of an entire nation's dream. Brazil led 3-2. Italy's final hope rested on Roberto Baggio. One of the greatest players of his generation needed to score to keep his country alive. As the ball flew over the crossbar, Brazil became world champions. Roberto Baggio stood motionless, head bowed, while celebrations erupted around him. It remains one of the most unforgettable images of heartbreak in football history. Argentina's hero almost wasn't there at all. Sergio Goycochea began the tournament as the backup goalkeeper. Only an injury to the first-choice keeper gave him his opportunity, and he seized it in unforgettable fashion. Goycochea became Argentina's penalty shootout specialist. He made decisive saves against Yugoslavia in the quarterfinal, then repeated the feat against host nation Italy in the semifinal, carrying Argentina all the way to the World Cup final. Defeating the host nation is never easy, yet Goycochea remained calm under enormous pressure, silencing an entire stadium with save after save. From backup goalkeeper to national hero, Sergio Goycochea wrote one of the greatest underdog stories in World Cup history. His extraordinary penalty shootout performances remain legendary among football fans around the world. We covered Zidane's famous headbutt in a previous video, but here's how that unforgettable World Cup final actually ended. France were down to 10 men. The score was still 1-1 after extra time, and everything came down to penalties. One kick after another, Italy stayed perfect from the penalty spot. They converted all 5 penalties, while France missed once. The shootout finished 5-3, and Italy were world champions for the 4th time. Italy's victory secured their 4th FIFA World Cup title. Blue shirts flooded the pitch in celebration as the trophy finally returned to Rome after 24 years. For Zinedine Zidane, it was the final chapter of an extraordinary career. France's greatest modern footballer watched his teammates lose from the locker room, never returning to the pitch again. A legendary career ended not with a trophy, but with one of football's most unforgettable stories.
Croatia became the masters of penalty shootouts in 2018. They first defeated Denmark from the spot in the round of 16, then knocked out host nation Russia the very same way in the quarterfinals, keeping their dream of reaching the World Cup final alive.
It wasn't just one dramatic escape. Croatia survived 2 penalty shootouts in the same tournament, first against Denmark, then against Russia, showing remarkable composure under the greatest pressure. At the center of those unforgettable nights was Luka Modric. Calm under immense pressure, he converted the decisive penalty more than once, an achievement unmatched in FIFA World Cup history.
Croatia's remarkable resilience carried them all the way to the World Cup final. And Luka Modric remains the only player in World Cup history to score the winning, decisive penalty in a shootout on more than one occasion, a record that still stands today. We covered this World Cup final in detail in our World Cup winners video. Kylian Mbappe's unforgettable hat trick, a breathtaking 3-3 draw, a match many consider the greatest FIFA World Cup final ever played.
This wasn't the first time Martínez had rescued Argentina. Earlier in the tournament, he starred once again during the dramatic quarterfinal penalty shootout against the Netherlands, proving why he had become one of football's greatest shootout goalkeepers. Lionel Messi finally lifted the one trophy that had always escaped him. Fittingly, football's greatest unfinished story reached its perfect ending through the tournament's most dramatic moment, a World Cup penalty shootout. Let's finish with the records that define World Cup penalty shootout history. Argentina have appeared in more shootouts than any other nation, 7 in total, and they've won 6 of them, more than any country in FIFA World Cup history. Germany has built perhaps the greatest shootout reputation of all, remaining unbeaten as a unified nation while also carrying on West Germany's legendary success. Not every football giant has enjoyed success from the penalty spot. Italy lost its first 3 World Cup shootouts before finally breaking the curse in the 2006 final. The Netherlands have also suffered repeated heartbreak, losing their last 2 World Cup shootouts, both against Argentina. The shortest penalty shootout in World Cup history lasted just 4 kicks. In 1986, West Germany defeated Mexico 3-1 so quickly that the contest was mathematically over before all 5 penalties were needed. And finally, the goalkeepers. Portugal's Ricardo and Croatia's Dominik Livakovic share the record for the most saves in a single World Cup shootout, with 3 each. Across an entire tournament, Croatia's Daniel Subasic and Argentina's Sergio Goycochea share the record with 4 penalty saves each. These are the specialists who turned football's greatest pressure into unforgettable history. Here's the question every new fan asks. These are the best footballers on the planet. So why do they miss a penalty that should, on paper, be relatively simple? The answer is almost entirely psychological. In training, professional players score penalties over and over again. But a World Cup shootout removes everything that feels familiar. There's no rhythm, no teammates to hide behind. Just one player carrying the hopes of an entire nation. Sports psychologists call it choking, when pressure becomes so overwhelming that the conscious mind interferes with a skill the body already knows perfectly. The player knows exactly how to strike the ball, but in that moment, the mind becomes the biggest opponent. Ironically, the pressure shifts in the goalkeeper's favor. Everyone expects the penalty taker to score, so the goalkeeper has almost nothing to lose. That freedom allows some keepers to thrive under pressure, turning a single save into a moment that lives forever in World Cup history. 3 FIFA World Cup finals have now been decided by penalty shootouts: 1994, 2006, and 2022. And as the 2026 tournament moves deeper into the knockout rounds, history suggests another unforgettable shootout could be just around the corner.
The next time you're watching a knockout match that reaches extra time and then penalties, you'll know exactly what's happening, why every heartbeat feels louder, and how every kick could become part of football history.
Which team do you think has the strongest penalty takers heading into this tournament? Drop your prediction in the comments. Football history could be about to gain another unforgettable chapter. Subscribe for complete coverage of every twist, every upset, and every unforgettable moment from the FIFA World Cup, all the way to the final.